Squid Game Season 3 shattered us with Hyun-Ju's death. But what if she lived? In this video, we'll explore the story that never happened, a survival that could have changed everything, from the players she could have saved to the rebellion she could have led. It all begins with one choice. In the original timeline, Hyun-Ju found the exit. She could have escaped, but she didn't. She turned back to save Jun-hee, the baby, and Jum-ja. But fate had other plans, and she was stabbed by player 333 unalarmed. But here's what would have happened if Hyun-Ju had survived. In every timeline before, Hyun-Ju hesitated. Her instincts were sharp, but her guilt always pulled her back to save the others, to help everyone. Myung-gi always found Jun-hee vulnerable and an easy target. But this time, Hyun-Ju steps back for others and thinks about what would happen in the longer run. Because Hyun-Ju was here to not win the games, but to end it. This time, Hyun-Ju doesn't hesitate. She doesn't go back to help. She doesn't question the exit. She's already made peace with one thing. She can't save everyone, but she will save Jun-hee. She will save Gum-ja. And because she makes that choice early, she's a few steps ahead. So when Myung-gi jumps out, she's ready. He's shocked. For the first time, he's not in control. She slams him into the wall and says it, cold, "You won't touch that baby." And Myung-gi doesn't move, because this version of Hyun-Ju is terrifyingly calm. There's no panic, no fear in her voice, just certainty. And he knows something's changed. He glares at her, but deep down, even Myung-gi feels it. She's not going to die this time. This was one of the many possibilities that could have happened if she survived. But let's just assume what other possibilities could have been there. What if Myung-gi never finds her? Hyun-Ju escapes early. Meanwhile, Myung-gi searches the halls, confused. He kills someone else instead, and the camera never shows Hyun-Ju again in that episode. Or another possibility could be, this time, Hyun-Ju is more alert. She knows she has to save the others. The moment she finds the exit, she doesn't hesitate and she turns back. In the chaos of survival, she had gotten out. But she forgot Jun-hee and Gum-ja. Now, with her heart pounding and her mind sharp, she races through the halls, retracing her steps. And just in time, she finds them. Jun-hee and Gum-ja huddled in the corner of a half-lit utility room, breathing in silence. Baby Jun-hee lets out the softest cry and Hyun-Ju hushes them, waving her hand low. But it's already too late. Heavy footsteps echo down the hallway. Fast, unhinged, and then he appears. Myung-gi, eyes wild with fury. His gaze flicks past Jun-hee, past Gum-ja, and lands on her. Hyun-Ju, the girl who ruined everything. In his head, Jun-hee was supposed to need him, to run to him, trust him, cry for him. But instead, he turned around and saw her leaning on Hyun-Ju. That girl, that fighter, that outsider. You think you're the hero now? He growls, breath ragged. You think she needs you? Hyun-Ju steps forward, firm but calm. She doesn't need you hurting people. And that's when something inside him snaps. With a roar, he charges. But this time, Hyun-Ju is ready. Hyun-Ju wins. Not easily, not cleanly. Maybe Myung-gi lunges again after she turns her back. Maybe there's a brutal struggle, some blood, a broken arm, something raw. But she doesn't kill him. She chooses not to be like him. Instead, she traps him, maybe in a locked room, wounded, screaming, and she runs. And this time, she doesn't forget. She finds Jun-hee and Gum-ja. She carries them if she has to. She burns through the halls like a storm, and when the door opens to the exit, she's the one carrying the baby out. She doesn't give him the chance. Hyun-Ju gets the others to the exit just in time. The lights start flashing red. Countdown is almost over. They burst through the door, breathless, bleeding, but alive. And most important, the baby is safe. That one choice changes everything. In the original timeline, Gyeom-ja had to make the most heartbreaking choice. She killed her own son, but in this timeline, she doesn't have to. Her nerdy son manages to get a kill, just one, but it's enough to keep him alive. Now she finds a new purpose, helping Hyun-Ju protect the baby. The two women who barely knew each other start building trust. They share food, take turns keeping watch. It's not friendship yet, but it's something. And while the players start coming together, Myung-gi, he's falling apart. He feels humiliated, outsmarted, and he starts planning his next move. Because now everyone's looking at Hyun-Ju. Some admire her, some fear her. She's not just another player anymore. She's starting to lead, to change the board. And the game? It doesn't like that, not one bit. Because when someone stops playing by the rules, the game changes the rules. Something's coming, and it's bigger than her. If Hyun-Ju had survived, this game would have played out very differently. The arena is a vertical nightmare, a giant rope bridge twisting in the wind, suspended between two massive dolls. Beneath them, a pit that looks like it could swallow time itself. Each step sways like it's daring you to fall. And the rules? Simple. Cross or die. Gi-hun steps forward, still limping from the last trial, his ribs bruised, his body wrecked. He reaches for the child, not because he wants to win, not because anyone told him to, but because in the middle of all this cruelty, maybe someone still believed in something better. But then Hyun-Ju stops him. Her hand lands on his shoulder. Steady, certain. Let me, she says. I've still got both arms working. It's not just about strength. It's about taking the lead. Because when Hyun-Ju survived, the path changed. But so did everything else. In the original timeline, this is the night before the final game. The night when Granny Geum-ja would have stepped forward. She would have offered quiet wisdom, something warm, selfless, a soft voice in a brutal world. But not this time. This time, it's Hyun-Ju, and her words hit harder. You've done enough, Gi-hun. You fought when you didn't have to. You stayed when you could have run. Let me carry the weight just once. Trust that someone else will. Gi-hun hesitates, but she's already taken the baby, already moving toward the rope, already steady, and in that moment, he's not the leader anymore. She is. Hyun-Ju surviving didn't just mean she lived. It meant everyone else lived differently. It meant Geum-ja could finally rest. It meant Junhee didn't have to shatter. It meant Gi-hun could finally stop blaming himself for surviving. The game changed, and now it's about to strike back. She tears fabric from her own shirt, wraps the baby to her chest like armor. Her voice is calm, her eyes focused. Hyun-Ju says, "You've done enough," and just like that, she becomes the first to step onto the platform. Every swing is a death sentence. The wind howls like it wants them to fall. But Hyun-Ju, she moves like she's trained for this, not rushing, not trembling. Every motion is calculated. Behind her, Geum-ja and her son Young-sik follow, then Gi-hun, then the others link arms, forming a human chain across the abyss. And somehow, they move as one, because Hyun-Ju isn't just carrying the baby, she's carrying hope. Every step is wind and wobble. Every second feels borrowed. But something unspoken flows through them now. Trust. Halfway across, a player slips. A scream slices through the air, one breath away from falling. But Hyun-Ju doesn't hesitate. She holds the ground, doesn't let go. At the back of the platform, Myung-gi watches, breathing heavier, eyes tracking every inch of that baby in Hyun-Ju's arms. And slowly, something inside him starts to rot. He's already had to watch Hyun-Ju take control, watch her become what he could have been if he had any soul left. But what really sets him off? The baby. Small, weak, completely dependent, and somehow still at the center of it all. Every delay, every risk, it all comes back to that child. Why the hell are we risking our lives for a damn baby? He's muttered it before, under his breath. Said it again after someone almost fell. No one answered him. That silence? That stung. So now, as they inch forward, balancing on narrow platform, they move together. One step, one breath, one heartbeat at a time. But Myung-gi is unraveling. His hands tremble, his eyes darted, and then he yells while taking another leap jump. That kid's a liability. Give her to me. He lunges, ropes jerking with emotion. Reckless, dangerous. But Hyun-Ju doesn't flinch. She's focused on the jumping pattern and holding the baby with all her strength. But then her voice cuts through the chaos, low and cold. You hide behind threats because you're weak. The ropes sway violently. One wrong move, one raised voice, and someone will fall. Gi-hun steps in, yells and commands. Don't! The tension snaps like thunder in the sky. But somehow, Myung-gi backs off. Not because he's done, just because he's not ready yet. But everyone knows it. He's waiting for someone to slip, waiting for a moment to reclaim control. They reach the other side, barely. Bodies shaking, hearts pounding. The final rope groans under the last weight, and then it's over. For now, Hyun-Ju falls to her knees. The baby was still wrapped to her chest, still alive. She doesn't cry, but Geum-ja says, "You saved all of us." Hyun-Ju just nods and says, "We're not done yet." After rescuing the baby, she looks back at Junhee, a helpless mother who just gave birth, weak and hurt. Hyun-Ju knows if she goes back, she won't make it, but she uses her power of strength more than her emotions. But Junhee stops her, cries, begs her to stay, to live, to protect. The life she just gave, Hyun-Ju gives surety that she can save her, but Junhee knows the truth. Her attempt would lead to their deaths, and she knew no one would protect her baby the way Hyun-Ju would. Just like the real timeline, Junhee jumps, leaving Hyun-Ju shattered her soul, to her knees, crying, screaming. But then she looks back at the baby. Her rage empowers, and she knows she will protect that child more than her life. And she's right, but the next game won't just test their strength, it'll test who they're willing to become. This is the final dinner, the last meal before the last game. In the original timeline, Hyun-Ju and Geum-ja were already dead. But in this timeline, they're both alive. Hyun-Ju, Geum-ja, Young-sik with Gi-hun. Still standing, still fighting, and now they're protecting the baby, together. Although the same players made it this far from the original timeline too. But the dynamic completely changed. One long metal table in a pitch-black hall. Above them, a single spotlight hums, flickering like it might give out. Long shadows stretch across the floor. floor. Everyone is silent, uncertain. It doesn't feel like a reward. It feels like a funeral. Clink, clink, clink. Metal trays slide out in front of them one by one. A chunk of grilled meat, cold rice, one steel knife, and then a pause. Footsteps, a second sound. A small silver bowl is placed at the head of the table, right in front of Hyun-Ju and the baby. No one speaks. The baby doesn't cry, just small eyes staring in abyss. And then a voice overhead, distorted, mechanical. The child is now considered a player. One winner, no exceptions. Everything fractures at once. Player 100 lets out a barking laugh. You've got to be kidding. What? We're splitting prize money with a toddler now? Player 039, fingers trembling, crosses himself. This is a test. The Lord delivers trials. Gumja stiffens. She grabs her son's hand. Yongsik holds back, eyes darting around the table like a scared child. Gi-hun doesn't even touch his food. He's staring at Myung-gi, who's staring at the baby. Hyun-Ju doesn't move, doesn't speak. She's just watching, quiet, focused, like a lioness waiting for a wrong move. Then the frontman speaks again. You may each nominate one player for elimination. Majority vote. If tied, no action will be taken. A beat, and then chaos. Player 100 immediately stands, tray still in hand. All right, I'll start. I vote for the baby. It's not heartless, it's math. She's not playing, she's not strategizing, she's dead weight. You want to die for someone who doesn't even know what's happening? Be my guest. Player 039 whispers a prayer, then raises a hand. The Lord demands sacrifice. Innocence must be returned to heaven. 3 votes. Instantly. Gumja slams her hand on the table and says, if you vote to kill a child, then you're worse than the game itself. Gi-hun turns to 203. You touch that baby, and I swear you won't make it to morning. Player 100 smirks. You bleeding out, hero. Sit down before you cough up another lung. Everyone's eyes flash to her. Well, 203 asks, gonna protect the baby or protect yourself? Player 333 remains stone still, arms folded, watching. Player 039 taps his knife on the tray, eyes darting, calculating. No one knows where they stand. Tension rises. Myung-gi finally speaks. You people still don't get it. He leans in, voice low, dangerous. That baby isn't a symbol, it's a time bomb. Every minute we waste protecting her is a minute closer to our death. You think the game cares? You think anyone's walking out with a fairy tale ending? She's a weakness, a weapon. And if Hyun-Ju keeps dragging her along, then we all lose. He looks at Hyun-Ju. You want her alive? Then die for her. But don't expect the rest of us to follow. The table erupts again, screaming, knives clattering. Gumja stands to block the baby. Gi-hun pushes back against Myung-gi. Stop! Hyun-Ju's voice slices through the room like a gunshot. She doesn't raise it. Doesn't even look angry, just tired and sharp. Hyun-Ju shouts, you want her gone? Then do it. Try. See what happens. No one moves. Not because they're scared of her, but because she looks like she's already accepted death. And they know that's the most dangerous kind of person. 3 voted for the baby. 2 voted to protect her. 5 didn't vote at all. No majority. No elimination will be performed, says the voice. But it doesn't matter. Now they know. 3 people at this table want that baby dead, and 5 others were too scared to stop them. No one finishes their food. No one sleeps well, and Hyun-Ju just rocks the baby gently, softly humming something no one can hear. Even now, she's preparing for the next game. Sky Squid, a rooftop version of the classic Korean children's game. Except now, only a few can survive and the rest sends you plummeting off the edge. Everyone else must wait and watch. Hyun-Ju kneels. She checks the heartbeat, pulls the blanket tighter around the baby, reties the knot across her chest. Only a few are going to make it out of the platform alive. 10 players in the game. Round 1, 1 player must be eliminated. Chaos erupted. All players start shoving each other down. Hyun-Ju says to go first while holding onto the baby. Gi-hun and Gumja agree and try to shield them, facing off against Myung-gi and other ruthless players, and it becomes clear, fast. Myung-gi's not playing to win, he's playing to destroy. He slams Gumja's leg with a tackle that almost sends her flying. She screams, she's hanging by inches, but Gi-hun dives, saves her at the last second, and takes the hit meant for her. Gi-hun uses the knife, blood splashes, the wind howls. Meanwhile, 1 player falls down and everyone pauses, catching breath. First round clear, 9 players left. The platform emerges and they are free to move. And in the next part, another player must die. Player 100, he nearly made it. Sharp, fast, brutal. He grabs Gumja's hair mid-round, yanks her down, but Gumja uses her Binyo hairpin blade and stabs him in the leg. Player 100 loses balance. Gumja pushes him. It's not mercy, it's survival. Gumja survives, but something changes in her eyes. She looks back as Myung-gi shoves someone down the platform. Player 125, no body, no scream, no fall. Then they hear it, a faint creak from beneath the ledge. A hand, clinging, bleeding. Minsu's voice. please. Geum-ja looks at him, then turns away as she says, they voted for the baby's death, and you were one of them. The wind howls, and the hand slips. During that, player 007 stood still too long, shivering, watching his mother's rage letting someone die right in front. But mercy doesn't come in this game. He gets shoved hard, not by Myung-gi, but by player 039, desperate to survive. They both fall. Young-sik claws at the ledge on the way down, takes a chunk of concrete with him as he calls his ma. Geum-ja hears the scream of her son and falls to the ground, weeping and devastated in shock. Distant echoes as the ground beneath the platform vibrates. Hyun-Ju watches from the base, eyes locked, expression unreadable, with them holding onto each other. They reach the final round with only 5 players left. Hyun-Ju steps onto the next platform, still carrying the baby, but Myung-gi already was there, of course, and he's smiling yet terrified. You think this world's gonna let that baby live? You think it matters? One last player must die and Myung-gi knows who to kill. He circles her like a wolf. You're just building hope, so it hurts more when it breaks. But Hyun-Ju, she doesn't bite. She moves. Precise, sharp, cold. She spins, sidesteps, and traps him just long enough for Gi-hun to jump through and land one final brutal blow. Myung-gi stumbles and loses balance. Hand still on the platform, slowly losing his grip. He cries. One last cry and he falls. The rooftop goes quiet. Game over. But even with Myung-gi gone, Hyun-Ju doesn't look relieved. She kneels down, checks the baby's heartbeat, adjusts the knot on the cloth that holds the baby to her chest, and says just one thing: it's not over. Not even close. Because the next scene won't be about strength. It'll be about sacrifice. And someone is going to have to make one. This is what would have happened if Hyun-Ju lived long enough to rewrite the ending. Only 4 players remain: Hyun-Ju, Gi-hun, Geum-ja, and the baby. They stand in the middle of a cold, echoing arena. Nothing but silence, scars, and the weight of every sacrifice behind them. Then the voice of the frontman cuts through. New rule. Only 3 of you may live. And just like that, the game shifts again. But this time, they don't flinch. The frontman repeats the rule. Kill one and the rest may win. Gi-hun looks up, shakes his head. Not after what we've all survived. Hyun-Ju steps forward. We don't have to play by their rules. And just like that, she offers a third option. We don't fight. We protect the baby. We protect each other. We hold the line. Geum-ja breaks. Tears fall, but she nods. And for a moment, they choose peace. But the game doesn't allow peace. The players rebel. Sirens blare. And just in time, Jun-ho appears with his guns. Jun-ho didn't come in through the main docks. He knew better. After all, he's done this before. He'd been watching the perimeter for days, hidden on a stolen patrol boat, listening in on scrambled frequencies and mapping blind spots. The island's surveillance grid was airtight, but it wasn't perfect. There was one gap in the radar sweep, a maintenance corridor on the western cliff, rarely used, deep underground, and built before the new security system was installed. It didn't show on the new schematics, but Jun-ho had the old ones. From before everything changed, he swam in under the cover of night. No lights, no gear, just a waterproof bag with weapons and a breathing tube. He stayed beneath the camera sweep, hugging the underside of the metal bridge that leads to the power grid. Then he climbed, hand over frozen hand, 100 feet straight up through wind and rust and sea spray. By the time the sirens blared, by the time the players started rebelling, by the time the frontman ordered a lockdown, it was already too late. Jun-ho was inside, and this time he wasn't alone. Gunfire cracks the air. Jun-ho bursts into the arena. A masked guard slams his alarm, and chaos erupts like wildfire. Guards scramble from every corner. Black masks, red suits, loaded rifles, but Jun-ho's already firing. Pop, pop, pop. 3 guards drop before they can react. At the top platform, the frontman watches from his glass booth. He doesn't give the kill order. He leans into the mic, calm and cold. Do not shoot the intruder. Do not shoot, my brother. A pause. I'll stop him myself. But the order comes too late for everyone else. One shot fires from a panicked guard, not at Jun-ho, not at the frontman, but straight at Hyun-Ju. Her arms are full, the baby strapped to her chest. She doesn't see it, but Gi-hun does. Without a second thought, he moves. No pause, no fear, just instinct. He throws himself in front of her. The bullet hits. Crack! Right in his shoulder near the chest. He crumples, down to his knees, then flat onto his side. But his eyes, still locked on Hyun-Ju. Through the pain, through the blood. He whispers, don't let it all be for nothing. Hyun-Ju doesn't fall apart. She doesn't even flinch. She turns to Geum-ja, voice hard and sharp. Take the baby! Get to the lift! Geum-ja grabs the child. Still shaking, still crying. She stumbles toward the side corridor, toward the rusted emergency elevator shaft Jun-ho opened during his infiltration. Hyun-Ju turns, sees the guards starts advancing. She doesn't run, she screams. But it's not fear, it's war. She rips a rifle off a fallen guard's body, blood on her face, wound on her leg, but she moves like a machine. Click, snap, fire. 3 guards go down, 1 stumbles. She hits him mid-step, headshot. Behind her, Gumja sprints with the baby clutched tight, tears flying back with the wind. Go! Hyun-Ju roars. Now! The lift starts to rise, slow, heavy, grinding metal. Hyun-Ju fights to her last breath, not aiming to win, just buying time. She doesn't stop, not until the lift doors seal shut, not until she hears it clank upward, not until the child is out of reach. Only then does she collapse. She crawls to Gi-hun, who's still breathing, barely, eyes fluttering. She takes his hand, grips it with everything left, and then the world blurs. Above ground, the elevator opens. Sunlight pours in like something sacred. The wind smells like trees, real trees. Jumja steps out, into grass, into light. The baby sleeps in her arms, swaddled in her mother's torn uniform. And pinned to the cloth, a folded note, written in uneven, hurried handwriting, smudged with blood and ash. It reads, "For a world better than the one we came from, Hyun-Ju." What happened next? The footage leaked, not by accident. Jun-Ho planned it. Hidden camera feeds, corrupted server logs, an ex-guard's thumb drive smuggled out weeks ago. It hits the internet like a nuclear blast. But this isn't a story about vengeance. It's a story about refusal. Refusal to die quietly. Refusal to forget. Refusal to let the child become another orphan of war. And in this version, Hyun-Ju doesn't die. Gi-hun doesn't bleed out alone. Jun-Ho finds them, the last of surviving players, carries them out before the island self-destructs. A body over each shoulder. Blood dripped down his arms. Hyun-Ju closed her eyes to life, but life refused to leave her. She lived, and because of that, so did the future. One choice, one spared life, and suddenly the entire game bends. Not toward blood, but toward something stronger. Hyun-Ju wasn't just a player, she became a shield, a voice, a reason for others to keep going. She didn't just protect a child, she protected humanity. In a place designed to erase it, just how many had to die so one could survive? Because in the next chapter, we count every single one. Watch next, Every Death in Squid Game, Season 3. And remember, sometimes the smallest choice changes the entire game.